All right, we're hit record. Hey, my name is Janelle, and I am here to share with you about macronutrition. Okay, I just want to start out that I am definitely not a professional. I have been doing a lot of research and learning tons about it, and I've been doing it for a while now. So I'm just going to give you some information about what I've learned, how you can do it. We're actually going to talk about how to get your numbers. We're going to talk about how it works with Plexus and a little about how to do it and how I do it. And then we'll have a little bit of Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions and they aren't answered during this, just feel free to put it into the chat, or just when we have questions and answers, you can just unmute yourself. So, okay. So what is macronutrition? So all of our foods are made up of nutrients, obviously, and some of the basic things that they're made up is protein, carbohydrates, and fats. And they do so much for our body, okay? So just to give you a little insight on what some of the things that they do, hold on, I wrote some of the stuff down because I knew some of this, but I was like, this was so interesting to me, the importance of some of these things that we put into our bodies. So we've got our protein. So our protein is used for tissue repair, immune function. It's used for hormones. It is an energy source. Actually, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates are all energy sources. It helps build lean and preserve lean muscle mass. It's there for growth, super important with kids. So protein is like meats. Let's see, that's poultry, fish, tofu, cheese, even dairy. There's also some in there's some even in vegetables. There's very little, but there is some. And then some starchy foods too. So then we have our carbohydrates. Now that sounds like carbs. Everyone kind of knows what carbs is. They think it's just like bread, but actually carbs are super important for our body. So it's pretty much our quickest source of energy. We use it for tissues and cells rebuilding, to use glucose for energy. We need it for our nervous system, our kidneys, our brain, even our muscles, including our heart, to function properly. It can be stored in your muscles and liver for later use of energy, and it's important in your intestinal health and to eliminate waste. So carbs are actually good for us. Like some people say, oh, I need to stay low on my carbs, and depending on like your goals and stuff, but really healthy carbs can be really good for you. And then we're gonna talk about fats. So fats, again, don't you remember the craze where fats were bad for you? That is just not true. Fats are so good for you. So it helps you with normal growth, development, and cell function, energy, of course. It helps you absorb some of your vitamins in your body. So like A, D, E, K, like if any of those make sense to you, if you know what those are. It maintains cell membranes for healthy skin and other tissues. It's needed for your nerves and your brain, for regulating your hormones. It also provides taste. It's super, that tastes so good. I don't know if you know that. Consistency, and it actually keeps like food together. So fat is like really, really important for us. So fats are like nuts. I didn't talk about carbs are, but I'm sure you guys know what a lot of carbs are. So fats are like meat, poultry, nuts. There's some in milk, like high fat milks, like full fat butter, oil, fish, fatty fish. What else is there? So you get the idea. So there's so many. So just so you know, those are what, like when you have your foods together and when you're doing macronutrition, that's really the things that we're going to be looking at. And so depending on your goals and stuff like that is depending on what your number is going to be at. So first and foremost, macronutrition, the reason why I love it so much is because you do not have to actually restrict any food groups. You can eat any food groups you want. It's very flexible eating. So you get to eat foods that you enjoy and that you like to eat. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about that later because it's going to be important. So One of the things that I wanted to talk about next was, okay, so we kind of know what those 4 things are. Now, okay, you're like, okay, so what do I do with that? Like, what do I eat? Or like, how do I even get started? It's like so even beyond confusing. So what's one great thing is what we're going to do for you is I don't know if you guys can see this and put a thumbs up in the chat. I put a link to a macro calculator. You can actually just Google macro calculators and figure out your numbers. There is like some scientific equation, but like I said, I'm not a professional. So I was given it to by my trainer, but I did use this calculator and I used the same exact information about like my weight, my height, my goals, like my activity level and that kind of stuff. And it put in exactly pretty much the same numbers. So I really think this site is good. So can you guys see that in the chat? It's like kathyhernanfit.com. I don't even know who this person is. And then you go to the bottom and you can click on macro calculator. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you guys can see it? Thumbs down if you can't. Okay.
I can't see it, but I joined a little late, so
okay.
I don't know.
So I will put it in later. You don't need to do it now, but I do. If you are going to do macronutrition, you need to get your numbers. And so this is be a site to get it in. So you can actually Google it, but this one, the reason why I like it, because you don't have to give them your email and like go through this whole process to get it. So it's just, and I thought it was super interesting that the numbers were right on for what my numbers are and my goals. So I love that. So I will put that in at the end just to remind, if I forget, someone remind me. So first and foremost, you're going to get your numbers, okay? And they're going to consist of a percentage. And like I said, I don't know how they get these numbers, and you can actually Google all this information. This isn't like my knowledge. This is like very common knowledge, and there's equations out there that you can actually figure out numbers if you wanted to, but I say, hey, why not make it easy? So you can actually, once you get your numbers, you're going to get an actual gram of how many grams of carbohydrates, how many grams of fat, and how many grams of protein you're going to eat each day. And that probably sounds like, oh my gosh, like how do I even do that? And it's going to actually tell you how many calories. Now, I want to talk about something that's super important. So I know like a lot of people don't like to count their calories, and they feel like, oh, that's super restrictive and it's bad, and it makes them feel like they can't eat foods. But if you have a specific goal in mind, meaning like you want to lose fat, gain muscle, or even like maintain, if you want to lose fat, you have to eat less calories than your MBR, your metabolic rate. How do you say that? Is that how you say it? Metabolic rate? And so if you're not eating less calories than that, like that means that you burn a certain amount of calories in one day, no matter what. Like if you're just laying there doing nothing, you burn a certain amount of calories in that day. Now, if you don't eat less than that, then you will never lose weight. If you eat more than that, then you gain weight, which is why like exercise comes into play, and it lets you eat pretty much, more than what you want. So you burn calories too. So a lot of people can eat that same number and then exercise and lose weight. But typically people have different goals. Like even if it's gaining muscle, like if it's gaining muscle, you have to eat higher than that, because you can't eat lower than that or you will be in a deficit. You don't want to be in a deficit. So it just depends on your goals. And when you use that calculator, that's what you're going to do. You're going to tell them your goals, and you're going to say, I want to, lose weight. Let's just use that as an example, because that's typically what most people want, is I'm going to lose weight. And they're going to ask your activity level. And so it's important to know what your activity level is, because if you think, some people like, well, I work out 45 minutes a day every day. But if you sit at a desk every single day, then you are not living an active lifestyle. Seriously, no judgment there. Like it's not even a big deal. But the reason why that's important is because it will change your numbers accordingly. And if you want to see results, you have to see like what your active lifestyle is outside. So if you work out 4 days a week, but you're sitting down all day, then I would put it to something lower. Like I work out 3 to 4 times a week. But if you are actively working out and you're not sitting down and you're walking around and you're cleaning house and you're constantly moving and not sitting down, then you would have an active lifestyle. Now, if you're sitting at a desk all day and you're not working out at all, that's totally fine too. I'm just saying you need to make sure you put that to the right setting so you can get proper numbers. And I just wanted to say that because it does make a difference in your numbers, and you can play around with that and you can see it, and it will play a difference in your numbers. Okay. So once we get our numbers, and like I said, it's going to start with fats, proteins, carbs, and you're going to have a calorie number. Okay. So, is everyone familiar with MyFitnessPal? So it's a free app. I recommend everybody to download it because this will be the easiest way for you to keep track of what your numbers are, unless you want to keep like a notebook, which is totally something you can do. But the reason why MyFitnessPal is awesome is it does all that work for you. It pretty much has every single food in the grocery store, every single vegetable, protein, whatever in there, and you don't have to worry about guessing or looking up the fats, the carbs, and the protein. So it's amazing. It has made this so much easier. So download MyFitnessPal. It's free and easy. And you're actually literally going to put your numbers in there. And I'm going to give you the steps to do that. And the reason why that's important is so you can keep track of when you log your food. Now, guys, okay, macronutrition is something you could typically live your whole life in. But when you have a specific goal, we're going to do this for a short period of time, meaning like 60 days. We're going to do this, track our food for 60 days to hit our goals. So like when you're doing like a 60-day challenge, you want to do that. Now, for me, like I'm doing it for 60 days and then I'm going to take a month off. I'm still going to try to eat really healthy. And then I'm going to, depending on how I've hit my goals, is I'm going to do another set. So I'm not going to be like on this train of always cutting and always, tracking my food and being obsessed with it. Like that's just not something I personally want to do because I want to live kind of very flexible lifestyle. And actually macronutrition is very flexible because you can work anything into your numbers if you know what you're doing. And that's what we're going to talk about too. So does anyone have MyFitnessPal? Okay, Kate, let's get your MyFitnessPal out. And I'm going to actually walk you guys through really quick. So unmute yourself. I'm going to actually walk you through, and maybe you can see my phone. Oh, let's see. How to put your numbers in. Because I think it's really important for you guys to understand how to do that. Kate, do you know how to put your numbers in?
Yes. Well, I used to have the paid version, and now I have the free one, so I don't know.
And that's totally fine. Free, you could still do the same exact thing. So You're going to have your first page and it's going to be home. Oh, look at MyFitnessPal app. Okay. So you go down to the bottom and you click more.
Okay.
Oh, it's backwards for you guys. Okay. Then you're going to go to your settings, and I will put this in the comments of the recording so you guys can see this. You're going to go to settings. Then you're going to go to your profile. You're going to go down to your goals. And then you're going to go down to right here where it says calorie, carbs, proteins, fat goals. See, it's like they already know that we want a macro count, right? And then you can put your numbers in. See, these are my numbers. My calories are 1,700. My carbs are 170 because I'm super active. My protein is at it's supposed to be 150, but because I don't have the paid version, it won't let me specifically pick the exact numbers. And then the fats, okay? And you're going to put your numbers in. And the reason why it's important to put your numbers in is because when you do track, so once you do that, you'll pick your numbers and you'll scan it. Now you want to get it to like 100% because you'll notice like you'll really start with your calories, put your calories in first on the first page, then you'll pick your protein right here and you can move it accordingly. And you want to get to a balanced diet, which is 100%. Am I making sense, or is this super confusing?
You're making sense. I mean, as long as people have, if you already have the app and you open it and look at it, it's pretty easy to find it.
Okay. The reason why some of this may not be making sense is because you don't have your numbers yet, which you're going to use with that calculator I gave you, and you're going to get your numbers there.
What's the name of the calculator?
You could just Google macro calculator. That's what you could do that. There's like hundreds of them online you can pick. They're all the same equation. It's by like the percentage of how much you weigh, by how much you work out, by your age too. Mm-hmm. And you got to make sure you click this too to make sure it goes through. Okay. So then I go back all the way to mine, and you can put in my diary of the day. I can show you what I ate today. We should show you tomorrow because yesterday was like really, I had hit all my numbers yesterday, which is kind of like a miracle. Sometimes you're like a few off. Like it's just, there's just no way like you can actually live exact. So the nice thing is so I just pretty much input all my food in the day. So let me give you an idea of like, okay, let me just preface this. Women don't get enough protein in their body. And there's studies that show that when you have a caloric deficit and you have high protein, studies show that you can actually lose weight. It's like really, really good for us. And I just named all the reasons why protein is really, really good for you. Most women get less than 50 grams of protein. And did you see mine? Mine's 150 that I'm supposed to get in a day. And it's not because it's going to make me all bulky and like huge. Like that's what people's mentality is. Too much protein is going to make all these big muscles, and working out is going to make all these big muscles. That's just not how it works. And so it's really important that you hit your calories first. And I always work towards my protein because that's the hardest thing for me to get in. It's easy to eat fruit. It's easy to eat like avocado and nuts. Like those are all easy to eat, but protein, you have to be super vigilant about it and think about it, or you won't get it in your diet. Because it's easy just to eat like a bowl of pasta. Like that's what we used to eat, like lasagna and spaghetti. And yeah, we'd get some meatballs in there if we were lucky, but that's kind of how I ate. And you might be the same or different, but protein is going to be something that you're going to have to think about every day. And it's super important because it not only does it help with growing muscles, but it helps with so much of your health benefits. Plus it helps with weight loss. So I always consciously think about protein during the day. And so when I start, so I'll go a typical day in a life of me of like what I would eat. When I am trying to like cut or lose weight, I usually typically eat very similar things for breakfast because I eat what I like. And even when I wasn't in a cut, I usually eat the same similar things every single day. So I wake up, I actually drink a protein shake when I wake up because I have to have food in my stomach before I go and work out. So I would drink a lean shake. I love lean. I think it tastes amazing. It's one of the best flavoring protein meal replacement shakes that we have. And I actually add our Joyum collagen to it because it's so good for your face. If you haven't tried it, it's amazing. But it also has protein in it. It has extra 5 grams of protein, and it's really good for your joints and your skin. And so I drink that right before I go and I work out. Then I go and work out, and I come home, and that's when I eat breakfast. And I eat a giant breakfast. Like I'm talking big. So you might not be able to do the same thing because you go to work, but all this type of stuff can be just fit into whatever schedule. You can eat a really big breakfast in the morning, and breakfast is one of the most important things that if you need to start doing. Like now, if you are doing intermittent fasting, like that's a whole different ballgame, but we really need to jumpstart our metabolism. So it's really important to start eating in the morning if you are trying to lose weight too. So I get a lot of protein in the morning. I get 1/3 of my protein pretty much in the morning. So I eat like an egg white scramble. I add onions and peppers to it. And then I eat like a Greek yogurt, Oskio yogurt. Have you guys ever heard of that? It's like super high in protein, has no sugar. Make sure you buy like the vanilla and the strawberry kind because the other ones have carrageenan in it, which I just learned. Peach yogurt, it's the peach yogurt. You probably don't even know what I'm talking about, but carrageenan is like a filler, and it really messes up with your hormones. So it's not great for our bodies, and then I'll eat like a fruit. I mean, guys, like, does that sound like a big old diet meal? Like, not to me, it's like a huge meal. Like you could eat scrambled eggs if you want just regular eggs. I choose to eat egg whites because it's lower in calories and I think it tastes just as good. And the important thing is you have to, season things correctly. So if you eat like egg whites and you're like, they're disgusting, it's because you're not seasoning it right. Like come over to my house, I'll season it for you. And you'd be like, oh my gosh, this stuff is awesome. So that's like my breakfast. And that is consisted of, let's see, I can even show you, let's see, for the day for breakfast, let's see. I don't know how to check that. For breakfast, I'm trying to see how many. Okay, for breakfast, I had 87 grams of protein. Oh, and I forgot to add, I usually add like some type of Canadian bacon or like lean turkey, or if I had chicken, then I leftover chicken, I'd put chicken in there. So I have like this hash that's full of like egg whites, chicken. Sometimes I throw vegetables if I have leftover vegetables in there. I eat a fruit and a Greek yogurt, Oskio yogurt. And I had like 70 grams of protein. You guys, that's like half of my protein in a day. And it was delicious and it tastes so good. Plus, it's super important to get protein after you work out too, because it feeds those muscles. You know, when you work out, it breaks them down, and that protein is going to feed in to help them grow back. And it helps you not be as much as sore. So then typically I'm hungry in like 2 hours because when you start eating healthy and working out and feeding your body with the foods that you want, your metabolism is going to start running. And so when you first start out with macronutrition and you're eating healthier, you'll notice that you feel like you're hungry, but you're not. So like you'll want to eat every 2 hours, and that's what I do. So I'll typically have a snack, and it can consist of either a lean shake, or I would do like whatever snack that I wanted. And it usually consists of some type of little bit of protein in it. I have done like peanut butter and celery, or I'll do, I don't know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. And then, so every 2 hours, and then another 2 hours, it's like, lunchtime. And so lunchtime, usually I'll think of a protein to eat, and then I'll have vegetables with it. And so this sounds like so when I was like thinking of like what I was going to tell you guys about the foods that I eat, because I wanted it to come across for you guys to understand that I am eating so much food and I'm actually dropping body fat. So I've already hit my goal weight. So to really hit to lose weight for me, it's like when you get to a point of not losing any more weight, it's like hard to lose weight. You have to, even if you eat really healthy. But I am actually losing body fat still. So I've been on this like cut for 6 weeks, and I've already dropped 6% body fat. I've dropped 6 pounds in body fat. So 6 pounds of body fat. Does that make sense? So I haven't really lost 6 pounds, but I lost 6 pounds of body fat. So that's like really huge. And I feel like I'm eating twice as much food than I was eating before. And the important thing to understand is there's quality and quantity. So you could eat the thing about macronutrition is you can eat a slice of pizza if you want. If you can fit it into your numbers and in your calories, that's totally fine. You have to understand that one slice of pizza and a plate of chicken and maybe a bunch of vegetables and a fruit or something, and it's a giant plate and one slice of pizza. So you can see how I'm eating so much food and I am never hungry. I'm never hungry. I'm not always thinking about food, but I'm always eating food, and I plan out my day accordingly. So I don't meal prep. If you want to meal prep, just Google it on Pinterest, and there's thousands of posts that you can find for meal prepping. If you've heard of Clean Simple Eats, she does a really great job of having amazing recipes. There's not a shortage of recipes and ideas of what to eat. You don't need that from me because there are thousands of things. This is not brand new. This is everywhere. And so it's just really to understand your numbers and then decide the foods that you want and season things properly. And so for tonight, we had brisket. I had grilled onions and peppers, and I actually made some whole wheat bread. And this was the first time I've really had bread, because I have a hard time getting my carbs in because I'm enjoying the meats and the fruits and vegetables that I'm eating. And I get my carbs from my fruit, but I'm not getting enough carbs for how much I work out in. So I tried this bread. It was amazing. And it's from Clean Simple Eats. It's so good. I mean, granted, I'm not gonna eat the whole loaf, but I had a slice of bread, which I typically haven't been eating any bread because I thought, it can't have bread. But that's not true. I can have bread. And actually the other night I had a small slice of cake. I just fit it into my numbers. Usually what happens is, like I said, I figure out my protein for each meal and I fill in the gaps with my snacks. And if I'm at the end of the day and I have 400 calories left, guess what? I'm having a treat. I'm going to have some chocolate, and I'm going to have either a mug cake, or I'm going to have something, and I'm going to eat whatever I want, but I'm going to make sure I'm not going over my calories and I'm hitting my numbers and all that kind of stuff. So guys, this feels so much I could literally live on this the rest of my life. The rest of my life. I've never eaten so much healthier in my entire life than I have right now. So it is like awesome. If you guys seriously like commit to this, it is so great. Okay, there's a couple other things I was thinking about. Let me see if I have anything else that I wanted to talk. I'm trying to figure out if I missed anything that I wanted to talk to you about. So we've talked about what macros are, how to figure out your numbers, which you're going to use the calculator. Oh, I want to talk about how it works with Plexus. Okay, there's one thing that I really wanted to talk about, and I think it's super important for you to understand this. So, like all eating plans, like there is some type of deficit that you're going to have to eat. It's just the way it is. And there's going to become a point where you're going to feel like you want some sugar or something sweet. So the reason why this fits in so well with Plexus, and if you haven't started this, and most of you have, if you have been an ambassador for a while, if you've taken Plexus, you're probably on the gut health products. Now, most people usually try the Slim, which is so amazing for sugar cravings, but when you're trying to eat really healthy and you don't have your gut balanced, this is going to be super hard for you because you are going to crave carbs and you're going to crave sugars all the time. Because what happens in our gut is we have this overgrowth of bad bacteria, and the way it wants to be fed is through carbs and sugars. And so when you start eating healthy, it's going to be like, hold up, you're not giving my carbs and sugar, and you are going to crave it like crazy. So if you're not on our gut health products, you need to get on them ASAP. This is going to be essential for your progress. Not only that, there are so many studies that show that our gut health is linked to our weight too. So this is just going to be a reoccurring thing that's just going to send you in a great place to not only just feel better, crave less sugar, have more energy. Like if you've ever talked to a Plexus ambassador, you'll hear that they crave fruits and vegetables, healthier foods than they did before. Now, we also have a brain. And we also have things when we look at cake, I'm not going to lie. I look at cake and I know that tastes sweet and that tastes good to my mouth. But a lot of times when I put it into my mouth, one bite is good enough. And so we do have a brain that can mess everything up and say, hey, I want to eat that whole cake. But you also have to understand that that cake is still good and you can still have it and eat as much as you want as long as it fits in your numbers. If you have goals, if you're not having you're not trying to lose any weight and you're not trying to gain any muscle and you're just wanting to eat better, then you can have as much as you want. But if you have goals, you have to take that into consideration. Like what's more important? I mean, I still want my sweets, so I fit it into my numbers, but I make sure I'm hitting all my proteins and my carbs and my fats and stuff like that. And I'm making sure that I'm feeding my body with a lot of healthy foods. So that's something really, really important. And I do really think the Slim plays a huge part in our sugar cravings too, which is so great for our energy level, our glucose, like getting all that stuff. So I think that's probably, do you guys feel like you're getting a good realm of what it is? Now, like I said, recipe wise, let's see, what are some of your guys' questions? Let me see, I'm kind of reading this. I haven't even read any of this. Does anybody have any questions or are you feeling like I still don't even know where to start?
I think for me, it helps with just sort of planning ahead, like having one or two lunch ideas that you just, or maybe three, I guess, that you just eat all week long. Because that way it makes it simpler for meal planning and it makes it easier to add it in MyFitnessPal, because MyFitnessPal actually remembers what you put in. So you can just really quickly and easily swipe over and it'll just add yesterday's lunch or whatever. So I don't know. I think planning ahead helps. And I don't know. I just usually eat the same thing. So it makes it simple. Oh, and then I was thinking you would be surprised when you start doing this and you add in your little dessert or whatever, then you actually would be surprised at how little of a treat that you can be satiated with. Like you don't have to eat this huge bowl of ice cream. Maybe you eat like an actual half a cup or even less. You just want a few bites and you feel great. And you're like, oh, I've satisfied my sweet tooth and I'm fine.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I totally agree. I usually overcook for dinner. Like I cook like more than what we would need. So then I usually have my lunch the next day. And so another thing I do want to point out, when I first started, I did not really measure. I mean, I would kind of measure things like with a cup or like, but if you're not hitting your goals, you might want to start measuring and weighing your food. Now that's a whole different level, but if you get to a point and you're doing this for 2 or 3 weeks and you're not seeing the results that you want, I would start measuring, because you have to understand, like, sometimes we look at something, we're like, that looks like a cup, but really it's over a cup and it's an extra 100 calories a day, which can mess up with your progress. Now, I'm not saying to be super strict. That's why I'm saying maybe start out with your numbers, using like a measuring thing, like a cup, or, a hand fist for a size, like eyeball that. And if you're seeing results that way, great, stick with that. But if you're like not seeing the results that you're wanting to, and I'm talking like nothing extreme, I'm talking about like if you're losing weight 1 to 2 pounds a week, nothing more. If it's more, you should be like praising. But if it's not, like that's what our goal should be. So yes, and Melissa's talking about fruit for treats. Is that what you're talking about? Oh yeah, pineapple is like my love. Pineapple's like dessert to me. It is so good. So any other questions that we have out there? I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Well, I think one thing, when you talked about measuring, for me, it was really important to measure when I started out so that I could, because if you eat like one medium banana, like what is that? It could be
Yeah.
200 grams, it could be 300. I mean, there's a big difference. So, I mean, it's natural for us to kind of underestimate what the calories we actually get, and we overestimate the calories that we're burning for exercise. So if, like you said, if you're not seeing any changes in a couple of weeks, then you need to buckle down, I guess.
Yeah, and just buy scale. They're actually super cheap. You can buy them on Amazon. And it's actually, you guys will start to learn that it's gonna be a bit of an adjustment when you first start. Like it was a big adjustment my first 2 weeks, and now it's like seconds. It like takes no big deal. And it's not, you guys, I don't even eat the same things every day. She eats the same things for lunch. I eat the same thing for breakfast because that's just, I've always eaten the same thing for breakfast. But like I eat a protein and vegetables, and I went from eating like one vegetable to no vegetables to eating 4 vegetables in a meal. And it's because I'm like loving them. Like, hello, Brussels sprouts, they're like my new favorite. They're like amazing, but you have to season them right. No one told me I had to season them right for them to be good. So, oh yes, Melissa, it's important to take into account and counting your olive oils and stuff like that too. That is super important. I started using this spray from Costco. It's an avocado oil. Have you guys seen that spray? It's brand new. I just saw it. So it says it's 0 calories, but I still count it in because it's very little, but I don't even like use olive oil anymore. I just spray my pan with that, and I cook my vegetables and I spray them lightly with that, and it actually says to do it. But it's so little, you don't even really have to count your macros with it. So it's something you guys should look into too when you're cooking your vegetables. I'm trying to think. I think that's it. Like I said, does anyone else have any questions? Let me put in that in the messages, and I'll put it in the comments of that site. And then you guys can actually get your numbers. And if anyone wants to like message me and talk actually about like doing some of these things like really specifically, but I've kind of told you in a day in the life of what I would eat. There it is. And then you go to the bottom, and on the bottom left, you click macro counter or calculator. And that's how you can get your numbers. And then honestly, you put your numbers in. You can actually put your numbers into Pinterest, and you'll get recipes with those for like a day of what you would need for that. It's like there's so much stuff out there. This is not something that is super hard. It just sounds intimidating at first. It was super intimidating for me at first. So work your calories first. Remember, you have your calories, your protein, and then fill your carbs and fats in with your food and snacks and stuff like that too. And you guys got this. I totally think you guys can do this. This is, I want to hear your guys' progress, what you're thinking. I'm on like week 8, and I'm checking in next Monday to see what my 8-week is. So I'm excited to see. So yeah. If I have no more questions, I'm gonna let you go. I kind of went over. So is there anything else anyone has to say? I'm gonna let you go.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Katie. I feel like you've done it before, Katie, haven't you?
I have, and I actually have a nutrition certification from Precision Nutrition. So like I know how to do the calculations.
You should have taught this. Why am I teaching this? We got the professional here. Yeah. She's got all the knowledge. So I'm sure you can message Katie too.
Yeah, you can message me. I'm happy to help.
Yeah. Okay. All right, you ladies, I want to hear what some of you guys are doing. You guys can share recipes. And yeah, this is going to be awesome. I'm excited. I really feel like this is such an easy, fun, flexible way of eating that feels non-restrictive because you're not restricting any food groups, but and you see results. So okay, all right, ladies, you guys have a wonderful night, and we will see you later.
Yeah,
See you later. Okay, bye.